Hello everybody, Brad Johnson here, and welcome to another episode of Spirit Drive. In this video, I'm going to be talking more about the point of no return. Now, of course, just a few months ago, I did a video with Adronis called 2020, the year of exposure. Okay, and of course, from the get-go, from the start of 2020, we have had to say an intense year, but even that's an understatement. There has been more going on within 2020, within these 4 months, than I think there has been in the past few years combined. But what is also important as well is realizing a lot of what Adronis has shared in other videos relating to what's known as the point of no return. Now, through the entire situation with this quarantine, the entire scenario as we're dealing with it right now, just as we look on social media, whether on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or whatever, right, YouTube, etc., we've seen people, again, share so much, you could say frustration, so much anger, so much resentment, so much bitterness, so much fear, so much despair, that this is going to culminate into the end of 2020 with what's known as the point of no return. A lot of people in that sense will move out of their, I guess you could say, the center of their circle, right? The center of their circle represents your stability, your inner empowerment. And we're going to see some people who are slipping from that. It's really that we are in the eye of a storm right now. This is the center of the storm. Some people choose to venture away from the eye of the storm, and they get caught up in the heavy rain. They get caught up in the heavy hail. They get caught up in the heavy gale force winds or the hurricane itself. It's very important that what we're going through right now has been something that many of us, I mean, even since 2009, I've been talking about, right? The emotional roller coaster. That you're either up here waving your hands up in the air, or you're just on the bars here saying, get me off, get me off, get me off. I can't stand anymore. For God's sakes, get me off. And since 2009, I've been talking about that. And there's people that have come way before me who've been talking about this for decades, that there will come an event that is so unbelievably intense that people will question exactly where they stand. And that will be the momentum within the years ahead, because what's going to continue to happen is that there's going to be a lot more intensity, right? You think this is it? You think this is all we're going to experience in 2020? No, we probably won't experience another quarantine again. There's going to be a lot of intense things. It's like I've talked about. It's like Adronis has shared as well, too. Between 2016 and 2024 is the span of change. So there's going to be some more stuff to come. We're basically seeing the eye of the storm overhead, but as we move into 2021 to 2024, it's still moving over us. There still will be some intense times. So at least for the next 3-4 years, we're going to have still more of this intensity, though I don't think it'll be as intense as what we're going through right now. It'll still be very, very intense nonetheless. But the whole idea is that we get into this, I guess you could say, phase. We get into this shift where we are just wanting to bash everybody. You know, it's kind of like when people say, oh, we need to flatten the curve. And I just playfully say, yeah, we do need to flatten the curve of ignorance. Yes. And that's really the key, is because we start to see who people really are, right? We have people talking about love and light. We have people talking about going into oneness and just loving everybody and loving everything. But as soon as some things like this hits, they short circuit. And now they're angry. And now they're frustrated. And now they get into politics. And now they feel like they want to hang the politicians. And they want to destroy the politicians. And the politicians need to be assassinated and all this stuff, and they start dishing out death and judgment. And here they were as like these super loving, compassionate workers, and you just look at this and saying, what the hell is going on here? You know, here we are playing this political game, and we all know that it really is just a facade in the first place. But again, it's something that needs to play itself out. But then you see how people are, it's almost like looking at people watching a football game, right? And they get so angry. That person missed that play. They should be killed. They should hang them and stuff like that, right? And then we're looking at this in the political arena. We're looking at this in the economy arena. We're looking at this in all the different venues of life and seeing how people are reacting. And before this time, they were like, oh yeah, blessings to you guys, and deep love and appreciation, and meditate every day, and make sure you love everybody. It's so important. We have to be strong, and we have to be loving. And then you see them turn into like this Dr. Jekyll Mr Hyde type situation. It's been pretty intense. I've seen some old friends of mine, who have basically got into that mentality, and I basically just took them right off Facebook because I'm just overwhelmed at times about what I see when I see people go into the Dr. Jekyll Mr Hyde type thing, right? And this is again what we're going to see, right, throughout the course up until the end of 2020, with the point of no return in this year, the year of exposure. People are going to show you who they really are, right? And at times that can be very loving and incredible. At times, sometimes it can be terrifying and frightening about these people, because again, not just me, but many other teachers, gurus, masters, mystics, etc. have been saying for many, many years, you have to get yourselves together. You are reaching a time where the cusp is happening, and this cusp is going to really shift you from one reality to another momentously, intensely. And if you do not do your inner work, if you do not start working with your emotions, if you do not start working together with who you really are, and you're not going to get involved with working with those very heavy emotional states, mental states, you're going to get lost in the storm. There's going to be a sandstorm, and you're not going to be able to see, and you're going to be wandering off into this storm, and it's going to consume you. And through that point, people are boarding their own trains or their own planes, and they are going to go and ride off this momentum of who they feel they are right here and right now. If they are angry, if they are bitter, if they are ignorant relating to what's actually happening, if they're not willing to do research, they take everything at face value, they let people persuade them, they basically get into heavy states of influence where they feel that they're right and everybody else is wrong, then they're going to carry that forward. They're going to go off that momentum. 2020 is such a crucial year. It is the year, right? And I mean that in the most literal way. It is the year for us. And so we have a few months to really get ourselves together. Jonas has talked about this in the levels of contact video, right? Where he says that if by the end of the year, moving into 2021, you guys are going to board your own respective trains. You're going to board your own respective planes. Your planes, your trains, your automobiles, right? And you're moving into these types of trains, planes, and automobiles that are a complete and total match for who you think you are. You are going to see the type of people who have not done their inner work. And they can turn very hostile, and they can turn very bitter, because they haven't done their inner work. They haven't worked with themselves. They're not staying in the center of the circle. They're panicking. They're freaking out. They think that this is the end times, so let's stock up on toilet paper. We're going to need it, right? It's not. I'm sorry to tell you guys, it's not the end times, right? This is the whole idea that we're going through a continuous state of change. The ending and the beginning are one and the same. So we are going to have absolute transformations here, yes. But again, going into the point of no return is really saying that your momentum and how you are, your character, your behavior, your emotional states, your mental states, everything that represents yourself, what you accomplish this year, how you conduct yourself through this year, is going to play itself out within the years to come. And if you are scared of everything, if you're in a survival mentality, you're very much into fear of thinking that all this horrible stuff is happening, what do I do, what do I do, I panic, I panic, I panic, you're going to play that out for years to come. And it'll be very, very difficult for you to change course, because everything is just going to be unfolding right in front of you. Everything is just going to be intensely showing itself directly in front of you. I cannot emphasize this enough. It's so important that we have to work on ourselves. It's so important that we remember the compassion, the love, the heartfulness that's within ourselves. Again, I've seen some pretty intense stuff as well too, but I have simply learned to catch myself. I learned to catch that ball if I am going into heavy emotional states, because I certainly have. This has been a shocker of a year. But again, I catch myself. I teach my students in my classroom to catch themselves. I'm teaching you guys here, my subscribers on YouTube, to catch yourself, to work with a BCR technique, to work with the TC technique, to work with yourselves, to move into a harmonious alignment. If you're going into crazy situations, you're not giving yourself enough love. This is the time where you need to have a mountain level of love in storage, right? You need to have reserves. If you don't have reserves, your love energy is depleted because you're fearing about what's happening. Oh my goodness, what about politics? Oh my goodness, what about us? Is this an end game? Is this the end of the world? What's happening? And you're looking at your reserves, and they're basically bone dry. You're going to have a hell of a time. Right? So this is kind of a video where I have to be a little bit direct. But again, you know, I've seen people get to that point where they basically have sucked their love reserves dry. And it's almost like they're looking at themselves as being anorexic as it relates to love starvation. And it's so important that you spend time reflecting within and gathering up as much love energy into yourself as possible. Even though there are things like this happening, even though there's other countries that may have it worse off than where I am or anybody else here that's watching this, there's always that light at the end of the tunnel. There's always that spark of love. There's always that spark of compassion. We go through these very heavy, dense, dark situations as a means of saying that, well, this is being shown to me, so I never have to go here. People can be very, very cruel to me because now I'm realizing I don't have to go here. I am moving above it. I'm moving beyond it. I'm never having to stoop to these levels because I see what these levels have done to me. I see how people have been abusive to me. I've seen how I've been rejected by people. I've seen how I've been abandoned by people. And I can either play that game, I can keep playing with abandonment, I can still be huddled into a corner, I can still feel like I have absolutely no sense of value within myself. I still feel that I can be controlling and manipulative to people because that's what others did to me. And that's one of the famous excuses. One of the most famous excuses, well, they did that to me, and so I'm going to do it back. An eye for an eye, right? Which is the stupidest thing you could ever do, right? It's never about an eye for an eye. It's never about trying to say, let's hang a person because they're like this and they're like that. And you're going to get that back to yourself, right? It doesn't even matter who it is. It can be the most sick and the most twisted person on the face of this earth, and you want to dish out death and judgment to them, right? You need to look at yourself when you're like that. Yes, there are some sick and twisted and deranged people on this planet, but they are going to reap their own seeds. They're going to go through those situations because it's still a learning curve for themselves up until the point where they take their last breath, because it's very, very important for what they realize they're doing as a means of seeing exactly how they're going to break themselves down. They've already punished themselves. They've already harmed themselves. They've already gone through the greatest levels of hell that none of us can even imagine. Right? And basically, by anyone trying to deal out death and judgment to them, you're no better than they are. You have to be very mindful of that. So I see people doing that and saying, oh, this person's doing this and that person's doing that. I hope they get a firing squad and just blast him to bits and just make him into Swiss cheese. I hope they hang him on top of a bridge and all that stuff. And I just look at these people and saying, you're no better than they are. You're no better in regards to the type of person that's doing things that are ruthless, and you're being just as ruthless in response. And that is not going to evolve you. That's going to cause you to stagnate. That's going to bring people into your life that is basically wanting to do horrible things to you as well too. Have to be very aware about what your words do. You have to be very aware of what your emotions can do. All of us have this powerful energy within us. This energy can create life and it can destroy life. And we have to be very, very mindful of that. And as we move into the point of no return, this is also a very important time to see exactly who we are. It's not about you proving to me, oh, Brad, well, I'm this, I'm that. I'm not your judge. I'm not your jury. I'm not your executioner, right? You have to show yourself who this is. I've looked at who I am, and I would never expect you guys to tell me who I am, right? I would never expect to tell you guys who I think you are, because that's not the way at all. You have to look in the mirror and you have to see exactly the type of person that you are, because you're going to see it through your reality, how you react to people, how you interact, how you respond to all these situations that are going on. So the most important thing here is being able to take some time to step away from everything, This is exactly why we have this quarantine happening right now. Is to step away with everything, to step away with involvement, step away of feeling that we have to be responsible for whatever's happening politically on the planet, economically on the planet, sociologically on the planet, etc. To drop it all and just look in ourselves and saying, do I appreciate who I'm becoming? Do I appreciate that I'm going into a survival mentality, that I want to curse and hex and basically dish out judgment and death to people because this is exactly how things are going? Have I tried looking in the mirror about that? Because if I don't resolve this, the point of no return is going to carry out this momentum, and it's going to get worse. So what do? We get that mountain full of love reserve. We get those reserves of love coming in. We forgive ourselves. We forgive others. Right? I mean, this is Jesus' biggest message. Forgive others. Love your enemies. See them as yourselves. Right? Buddha teaching the same thing. Krishna teaching the same thing. Prophet Muhammad teaching the same thing. All these great teachers of our past have taught us this. Are we listening to them? Or are we basically being driven by a primal instinct that is trying to take over and saying, no, this person's wrong and they need to be dished out judgment and they need to be punished and they need to be thrown into the fire. Oh, and I just can't wait to watch them burn. And then, after that happens, you're noticing that you're going to start attracting people that want you to burn, that want to put judgment upon you. And it becomes an unending cycle of torment. So as this year starts to reach into a point of culmination, as it goes into the point of no return, really look into yourselves deeper. I've seen some wonderful people as well too. I've seen people that are standing in the center of the circle, who are in that alignment of peace, and realize this is all part of the game. This is all part of the cycle. This needs to happen to invoke a greater change past an old paradigm reality that no longer suits us. Change is the constant here, right? I've seen, just last night, I was doing meditation. I was actually just dozing off with a bit of a nap, and when that happens, I usually go into the Akasha, and I start looking into these things a lot deeper. I wake up, and all of a sudden I have this realization. And when I woke up from the nap, I saw such an incredible amount of energy. I've seen so many people's intentions throughout the collective field, and it's like there's this washing tidal wave that's coming through the entire collective right now, and everything is going to speed up very, very quickly. It means this quarantine is going to be coming to an end very soon. This coronavirus is going to die this year. It's not going to return again, right? And there's a lot of things that are going to be shifting within our reality, and a lot of things are going to come ahead full force, very intensely, very quickly, a lot more than what many people are projecting. That's where we're going. So it is a very positive time ahead. But again, if you only look at the face value of things, and if you basically just take in whatever a person says, even myself, right? Even if you only just listen to what I say, you guys still aren't doing your work, right? I'm just an aspect of reminder, but it's you looking into your own truth where you're going to discover the greatest clarity. So again, it's very important that you are working with yourself. It's very important that you are building up your love reserves, and you are, again, staying in the center of the circle. It's so important that you are doing that. It's so important that all of us are doing that. More of us that come together in the center of the circle, in the eye of the storm, that can come together and unify and hold hands and give compassion and love and joy to the entire world, and we're putting those intentions out in the strongest ways possible. Those are the ones that are going to prosper. Those are the ones that are going to be the leaders. Those are the ones that are going to usher in great times ahead, because they're willing to do the work. They're willing to look into themselves. And if you're not one of those people, you have to ask yourself why. What am I doing with my life? Am I surviving? Am I just looking to survive another day? Do I have my toilet paper? And that's all I need? It's just my toilet paper? And maybe just a little bit of TV dinners? Or am I going to start working and manifesting my reality? Am I going to start making things better? And that starts with love. That starts with happiness. That starts with compassion. That starts with joy. The common thing I get, well, yeah, Brad, but you don't know what this person's going through, and you don't know what this person's situation is, etc. And we can start playing with situations, because, again, then you start playing with situations, and you think that's stronger than your own capability to manifest. Then you're not really listening to what's actually being said, right? You're going to go into that state where you feel situations are dominant, circumstances are dominant, and that's all I'm going to play with over my own ability to create, over my own ability to perceive what I can create through my love, through my compassion, through my harmony. We need to work on developing our inner strength, disciplining ourselves. And that discipline comes from the state of saying that I've seen how other people treat me in the past that was very cruel, very horrifying, very tormenting. And I have learned from those experiences, I will never be like those people. Oh my God, I'm talking to a master. That's it. When I hear people say that, and say, Brad, I've been through so much, right? I've been in the military, I've done all this, and I went through all those things, and I've seen people in that sense who are horrifying and cruel and bitter and just want to dish out judgment. And I realized I will never be what those people represent. Perfect, man. That's it. That is the response of a master. That is a response of a person who is completely doing their inner work and saying that I have been faced with cruelty, I've been faced with torment, I've been faced with agony, I've been faced with this world showing its many horrific faces to me. And I'm so thankful because it's shown me who I do not want to be. And I'm going to work above it. Now you get it. Now you see the clarity. That's the clarity, guys. That's all this is. I'm going through this hell to realize I will never be this hell. Yes. That is the realization of a master. That is the clarity of a truly great human being. And if you are following that path, if you're walking that path right now, that's me just giving you a big hug, because that's the idea. But you are bringing your own truth. You are making this happen. You are doing wonderful things. It's not about what I say or what anybody else says. If you know you're walking a path that follows that particular mentality, you are right on with where you are going, and you're going to prosper and expand greatly and pass on this knowledge, this wisdom, this realization to others as we go further into the point of no return. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Brad Johnson, and I'll speak to you again in another perspective of the now. Take care. Thank you very much for checking out my channel. Below you'll see my links to social media, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also go to healingcodecards.com, pick up your own Healing Code Cards body deck, and of course check out my website at newearthteachings.com. Thank you once again, and I'll see you in the next video.